Hi everyone, this is Susan Knowles, and this is a special edition of Stand for Truth Radio called Knowles on the News. Don't forget to check out all of our podcasts on Spreaker.com. Just look up Stand for Truth Radio or download the Spreaker app onto your phone and take us with you 24/7. Well, there's been a lot in the news lately, a lot of tragedy in the news, specifically this week and last week regarding police officers and what's happening. I know I don't have to tell you, war has been declared on police officers. You know, you don't have an execution-style shooting at a gas station where a police officer is shot in the head and shot in the back while he's pumping gas and not know that there is a war going on. And it's a war that we can't sit silently by and watch happen. Because if it's happening to police officers, it is going to spread. It is amazing that this is occurring. It's amazing to watch this in my lifetime. You know, as I've told you before, I grew up in the South. I've seen racial tensions. I've lived through racial riots. I know what that's all about and how awful that is. And, you know, I see it coming back again, but this time even worse than ever. And as we know, President is not standing up and calling for an end to the killings, calling for an end to racial tension, none of that. And in fact, you know, he's really not calling for an end of black on black crime either. It seems as though he is really he's really okay with there being chaos in the streets, and really it has gone to the streets now. So we are going to have to be the ones who go out there and say enough is enough. Now, the police officer that was killed in Houston, who was pumping gas at a gas station and was shot multiple times in the back and in the head, his funeral is tomorrow, and I don't know if you've heard Glenn Beck say that they're calling for everyone to at least pray tomorrow. And I know it's hard for people to take time out to do something, and everybody's at work, everybody's busy, but you know, this is a matter truly of life and death. This is where we've come to. And Glenn Beck is just asking people at 9 o'clock Pacific, 11 Central, and 12 Eastern, that you just stop what you're doing and pray for this officer, and pray for all police officers, pray for our military. Pray for anyone in uniform, because they're becoming a target. And, you know, if you have time to go down in front of the police station with a group of people, you know, let them know why you're there. And it's a shame now we have to let the police officers know why we're standing in front of their building if we want to pray. I mean, this is where we've come to in our society. This is how bad things are. You know, everybody's going to be looking at you now. It's like, what are you doing? It's ridiculous, but this is where we are. This is where evil has brought us. So if you can go with a group of people in front of the police department and just pray for them at that time, that would be great. Glenn Beck has also called for the churches to be open, if they will do that, and allow people to gather there and pray. And calling on the churches to let the police know, this is where you're welcome. You know, you're safe here. I was just reading an article yesterday, and I can't remember the state of where this was. Let me look at my notes. It was in Florida. A police officer came through the drive-through window and ordered some food. And the person at the window basically said, and I should add this 19-year-old male, basically said that I don't want to serve, you know, police officers. So, and good for the police officer. He went inside, he spoke with the manager. The manager, of course, apologized. And then the CEO has apologized as well. But, you know, here again, this innocent police officer drives up, wants to order lunch, and is basically told, no, we're not going to serve you here. You know, I'm just not sure where we're going to go with this. I mean, talk about discrimination. And I said last night, people should call every Arby's that they can today and complain, or call that Arby's in Pembroke Pine or whatever it was, the name of that place, and tell them you want that individual fired. And, as I said, the CEO has come out and apologized, along with the manager has apologized. And they said they would take disciplinary actions against the 19-year-old, including possibility of terminating him. He should have been terminated right there on the spot for refusing service. If that had been a black person that he had refused service on, if that had been a gay person, then that would have made the front page news. It would have been on the 6 o'clock news. It would have been airing every 5 minutes. But because it was a police officer, there's a mention in a couple of places, and that's it. Where do we draw the line of discrimination here? And it's so sad. I heard the widow of the police officer that just got killed in Chicago. A man, I believe, getting close to 30 years of service with 4 sons now, who will be without a father, was killed by allegedly a black male and 2 white males that are still on the run, as far as I know. And who knows if this was part of some group who hated police officers. I don't know. I don't know that it really matters. It just needs to stop. And there's been another killing of a police officer that we really haven't heard much information on, and I find that unusual, but maybe there's reasons that they don't want to talk about it right now. But this is a police officer in Abilene, Texas, who they found, from my understanding, dead in his house. And they're looking at cell phone records because they believe there was a conspiracy to kill him. And I've heard other rumors that I won't share because they are rumors, but I think, honestly, that in addition to not wanting to give out information in order to find the killers, they may not want people to know because they will be so incensed on how this police officer died. We have a real problem. It's not getting better. Our president is not speaking out against it, not going to speak out against it. And we now have a black activist who has come out and basically said that this is a war on white people and a war on cops. It's open season. And yet, where's the FBI? Where are the police officers coming to arrest this man? You can't sit there and incite violence against a group of people and expect to remain free. I guess unless you are a black activist, is that the message that we're getting here? Because so far I don't see anything or anyone coming against this man to get him off the streets. I mean, we go visit people who've put things on Facebook. You know, we run out really quickly with the FBI if we're military and we write something that they don't like. They don't mind coming out there and getting the military. And they don't mind following up on all the phone calls that somebody may allege against somebody. They don't mind doing that. But what about this? Openly, blatantly against white people and police officers. And apparently that means if you're a police officer, if you're black, then your life doesn't matter. Because they are going after police officers, period. If you put on the uniform, then you're a target, regardless of your skin color. So again, and more black on black crime in that case, and again, the president doesn't seem to care. And where this is going is it's an agenda that we've seen for quite some time. Most of these people with Black Lives Matter, They're not just regular people off the street. There's an organization behind these people, money that they're being funded. They want to start chaos. They want to start civil war, if you will, between the races. And so far, they're doing a pretty good job of it. And they want us to start fighting back, and they want there to be chaos in the streets so that they can declare martial law. Now, I know some people may say, well, that's just absolutely ridiculous. Well, and that's your opinion. You can have that. But I've seen enough to know that when this gets really started and ramped up more than it is now, there's nothing else that can be done. We saw that in the riots in different towns over the summer, Baltimore, Ferguson, you name it. Eventually, they had to call for martial law, if you will, because there was curfew. I mean, that's in effect, that's martial law. You can't go out after a certain time. You can't be in certain areas. Telling the government telling you what you can and can't do, and that's going to happen if we retaliate. And I am all for defending yourself. Don't get me wrong. You have an absolute right, in my opinion. If somebody's coming after me, I'm going to defend myself. I'll worry later, if I'm in California or wherever that says you can't defend yourself, it seems like. I'll worry about that later, but the objective is to stay alive. But I don't believe in vigilantism. I don't believe it's right on either side. And I think we have to be very careful about what we do and what we say, because it's so easy to target those people that aren't causing harm by the FBI or other government agencies, but they seem to leave the ones that are really doing the problems alone. So you don't want to be involved in that. You don't want to be suspect of anything or suspected of anything. Just be a lawful, orderly citizen, which is what everybody else should do. And, but again, we're going to have to start standing up. We are going to have to stand up for our police officers and anybody else, our military. Everyone in authority, basically, is under attack. I mean, you just think about it. Everybody in authority is under attack. The rule of law is under attack. You have to be able to see that. And without the rule of law, there is chaos. We've done everything that we can to get rid of God in our churches. I mean, seriously, in our churches. Because the pastors in some churches are allowing things to go on in church that are not biblical. And we have gotten rid of God in our schools, in our workplace, in our society. It's just boom, boom, boom on down the line. We're getting rid of God. God is the rule of law. We're targeting police officers and military. It's just a progression. You can see it. So we have to be mindful of what's going on and aware of the role that they're trying to suck us into. And we can't allow that to happen. So if you see a police officer and they're doing a great job and you just want to go up and say thank you, do that. If you feel like you can go to a police station and pray for them, do that. Because but for the grace of God, go you and I. And if you're not willing to pray for them, then you better hope somebody's willing to pray for you if the tables are ever turned. Now, I also want to talk to you a little bit. I wrote an article recently in regards to veterans. And I said, basically, is Donald Trump the new champion for our veterans? We've seen a lot of news about the scandal, but that was back in 2014, the scandal at the VA, where veterans were placed on wait lists and veterans were dying. And we were told that when Eric Shinseki, who was the Secretary of Veterans Affairs, when he stepped down, when he resigned, and Obama put Robert McDonald in his place, and we were told that things were going to change, The VA is going to be fixed. We're going to make everything okay. Well, I think most of us realized at the time that that wasn't going to happen. I don't know if you're like me, but throughout my entire life, I have seen the VA hospital in shambles, if you will. I mean, my father was a veteran of the Korean War, and he was deaf in almost both ears, but in one ear definitely. He could not get help from the VA no matter what. And I eventually had to help him, get hearing aids through the Lions Club. I asked for them, to donate, and they did. Thank God the Lions Club stepped up. But I mean, if you can't even get something as simple as hearing aids for a hearing loss that you suffered while you're in the military, we got a problem. And that's been going on forever. The Korean War wasn't yesterday. And so here we are, 2015, we still have the problems ongoing. But right after 2014, when Shinseki stepped down and McDonald was put in, it was like, oh, okay, well, now we can all just go away because everything's fine. We have this under control. But if you've noticed, you really haven't heard anything in the news one way or the other. I mean, every now and then you'll get little snippets of something, but it's mostly in like the Military Times or some other paper that no one else reads. Maybe a local paper, something like that. It's not all over the news. Well, I can tell you that a lot has been going on. A lot of people in Congress are not happy with the work that McDonald's doing. And for the longest period of time, nobody was being fired. Nobody got fired for putting veterans on wait lists. That didn't happen. And they were complaining that, hey, you said you were going to do that. Well, and other things happened. There was a Veterans Choice program that came out. And that was supposed to give veterans an ability to go outside of the VA if they weren't able to get an appointment right away within the VA, or they lived outside, maybe 40 miles or so away, and they couldn't get an appointment, they could go outside. Well, apparently, and I'm not an expert in this area or anything else, I just happen to be hearing a lot of things that are going on. Apparently, these providers and everything in the VA didn't make it easy for veterans to be able to use this program. And so they didn't use the program because they weren't able to. Not because they didn't want to. They weren't able to. And so then the president looks at that and goes, oh, well, I see that everybody just loves the VA, along with McDonald, of course. I see everybody loves the VA, and they want to get their health care needs met there. And they really don't want this choice program. So let's just take that money and put it someplace else. Not, oh my gosh. If I were a veteran, I would be so infuriated and so frustrated with this administration. It's like they're getting screwed over yet once again. And now, take the money away. Who in their right minds, if you're going to a system where you can't even get an appointment, you're not able to be seen, people are dying. And I saw this report that came out today. 307,000 vets died awaiting VA care, according to this report. And this was reported by CNN. It said the VA's Inspector General found that out of about 800,000 records stalled in the agency's system for managing health care enrollment, there were more than 307,000 records that belonged to veterans who had died months or years in the past. Wow. So you're going to tell me that those 307,000 people were just, and oh my God, I can't even say it. I was going to say they were just dying to get into the VA, but literally dying to get into the VA. That those people were just happy to wait until the VA saw them, somewhere after they were dead, right? That they wouldn't have wanted a choice to go out and get a provider, to get care that was needed so they wouldn't die. I mean, this is preposterous. It really is. It makes me so angry that we're still doing this to veterans. And by still doing this, I mean the VA system hasn't been fixed. It hasn't been fixed. And, I've noticed that different whistleblowers that are coming out and trying to get something done, those people are alleging that they're being harassed. And so we can't even have veterans who can speak up as whistleblowers because some are saying they're losing their jobs, or they're being harassed by supervisors, or they're alleging that their medical records are being looked into for people that aren't involved in their treatment, which is a violation, everybody knows, of the HIPAA laws. And do you see that on the papers? Did you hear that in the news? Did the mainstream media cover that? No. Why is that? Why is everybody so silent when it comes to veterans? I tell you one of the reasons. I think there are so many veterans now. There's so many people coming back from all of the wars that we've sent them on recently, and they're disabled, and they're filing claims, and it's overwhelming an already overwhelmed and inefficient system. That's what I think is happening. So the more that it can remain quiet, the more time they have to use money from the government and not give veterans proper care. I mean, that's what it looks like. Show me that it's different. But until I see the results, I can tell you just from sitting here looking at things, I'm really skeptical where this money is going, what really is happening, and what's happening to the whistleblowers who come out and say, hey, we have a real problem here, and we need to look at this. We need to do something about it. I've talked to you before. They found a lot of documents in L.A. and Los Angeles that were being shredded at the VA. And apparently these were supposedly disability claims that were being shredded. And I've heard from a number of veterans who say, I've waited years to have my disability claim processed. And I hear more and more when people say, I put in my disability claim and it was rejected. And I found that out a year or 2 years later. And then they tell me I have to refile because they lost my disability claim. And then I wait another couple of years. Where do the disability claims go? Why would it take a year to 2 years or more to figure out whether or not a person was eligible? I mean, if you want to start someplace and fix something, you should have a time limit set. I'll give you 30 days because that would be so much better than what's going on right now, according to the vets that I've talked to. 30 days to decide whether or not that this person is eligible and can get a disability or not. And then after that, you're done. Here's the door. And I know from what I've read that the VA is having issues with hiring staff. They don't have enough staff. Well, why is that? Is it because nobody wants to work there? Is it because it's not a great work environment? What's the problem? If you have a shortage or you can't get good people, then what is the issue? There are a number of people out of jobs. Why wouldn't you want that job? Is it because you're not hiring people and saying that there's an issue? Or is it because there's really another issue that you don't want to talk about? And I learned the other day, I had a gentleman on, his name is Attorney Benjamin Krause. He was on my show on Monday. And he's an advocate, and he's also a disabled veteran, but he's an advocate for veterans. And I learned from him that there are a ton of cases that he deals with, where people are just not getting the help they need. They're not getting their disability claims filled. And he's one of them. He's an example of a person who it took him years to try to go through the process to get his disability claim accepted. And I guess he was so frustrated, he took the extreme way out. He went to law school, for God's sakes, to figure out how he could help himself to get his disability claim accepted instead of rejected or just not looked at all. And now, thank goodness, he helps other veterans go through this process and shows them what to do and how to get what they need. I mean, how ridiculous is that? Somebody has to go to law school, for God's sakes, in order to be able to help themselves because he can't find the help anywhere else. And there's a group that I learned about also that's on Facebook. There's a couple of groups. One group is called VA is Lying, and that is, again, on Facebook. Right now, their group is over 10,000 people and growing. And these people, I found, they're fed up. They're fed up with what they're seeing. They're fed up with the lack of care that they feel that they've been getting. And they're doing something about it. And I'll tell you what they're doing. They're putting up billboards all over the United States that says, VA is lying, veterans are dying. And I tell you, if that doesn't get them attention, I don't know what will. I mean, I think they've tried other areas to try to get their message out there, and they figured this is the best way to do it. This will draw attention. Maybe the news crews will look at that and actually take photos of the billboards or go, wait, maybe there's something to this. Maybe we should really look at it. And if you want to donate to their cause, if you want a billboard in your area, go to that group, get involved with that group, and donate. There's GoFundMe funds set up all over the place so that you can support them in what they're doing. But go to the VA is Lying Facebook page, get all the information. Pass the word around. If you go on Facebook and you just like something and you don't share it, it just stays right there. If you want information to get out, you have to share it. And that's what I keep trying to tell veterans. You know your issues. You live them every day. The public does not. We're not told about what is going on with you. I only know because I've been doing research and been talking to these people. And if it doesn't get out, what's the public going to do? They're not going to do anything. They're not going to support anything because they don't know that there's a problem. And when I was interviewing Attorney Ben Krause on my show, I found out that there is basically what I call a PR firm within the VA hospital, or at least it's an agency they employ or contract with, who has a lot of money to spend in the millions on making the VA look good. Well, let me give you a clue. You wouldn't need that money if you actually looked good. If you actually did what you were supposed to do. Why would you need PR money? I could see money to be advertising for you to say, hey, come on down to the VA. We have a great medical care for you, and we do a great job. Come on down and get your needs fulfilled here. Okay, go ahead and use some money and advertise. I have no problem with that. Do some marketing. It's great. But to sit there and try to cover up what you're doing or not doing by a PR firm trying to make you look good when maybe you don't, how ridiculous is that? And again, I don't know about you. I didn't know that was going on. I didn't know that was what they had in the VA. Who knew, that the government was spending that kind of money on PR? Why not take that money and use it towards veterans care? Why not take that money and hire some additional people so that you can fulfill your responsibility? And the VA is something that the Congress years and years ago promised veterans that if they went out and served their country, that when they came back, that they would be taken care of. And I say we've failed for the most part. And again, I talk to veterans, some veterans, especially those veterans who are amputees. they feel that they're being taken care of very well in the VA. And you know what? I have no doubt, because the way I look at it is, if you're not providing those people with the proper care, that's really going to get out into the news. But let's say you have a veteran with PTSD. His or her problems aren't so visible, right? It's not like they're missing an arm or a leg. You can't really see it. So maybe you can slide on that person. Maybe you can give them an appointment 3 months down the road, or not fill their prescriptions, and nobody's really going to know because it's not visible to us. But the amputees, you got to get them in there, man, because you don't want headlines saying that you're not taking care of those people. And the way I look at it, the VA or anybody else ought to be taking care of everybody equally. Do those people who are disabled like in that way, do they deserve better treatment, more treatment? Obviously they're going to have a different type of treatment and more treatments and long-term and et cetera, et cetera. But that doesn't mean that the other people are ignored. Their needs ought to be met as well. And why can't a VA hospital provide that? And I think that one of the things that would be great if you would just go out. Again, I always encourage you, do your own research. It's so simple. Go on the internet. It takes 2 seconds. Type in VA. Type in veterans. See what's going on in your area. Talk to a veteran that you may know. Ask them what their care is like. Ask them, is there a problem? But we have to become aware of what's going on. And for anybody out there who may be listening, who's thinking about, gosh, I want to come forward. I want to talk about what's happening at the Veterans Administration, but I'm afraid. I've seen these other whistleblowers come forward, and they're harassed. They lose their jobs, et cetera, et cetera. What do I do? Well, there's another Facebook group called VA Truth Tellers, and they are a group of whistleblowers. Get to know those people. Talk to them. I've talked to them, and they seem like great people. And they can tell you their experiences and maybe what some of the steps that you can take. And I know it's difficult, but I always tell people you have to do the right thing. You have to do the right thing. Because if you don't come forward, somebody else is going to suffer for it. They will. Somebody else may die because you didn't come forward, because they won't get the help that they deserve. We need to make this a priority. These people have given themselves for this country, sacrificed themselves, and they deserve great medical treatment. And I think, probably some of them would say, I just want adequate medical treatment. I'm not even getting that. But they deserve to be taken care of. And, I wrote this article in regards to Donald Trump. Donald Trump came out and said that he was formulating a new coalition called Veterans for Trump. And he said, our veterans are incredibly important, and I'm proud to have the support of this coalition, especially in New Hampshire, where if I'm elected, I will build a full-service, first-class VA hospital to ensure all New Hampshire veterans receive care that they deserve. I would have to say right there, I'm not sure it's the facility that needs to be built. I think there are facilities all over the place. And I believe they're building one in Denver right now that is costing a humongous amount of money. That people are sitting there going, what in the world are you building this thing for when we don't have people to even, staff it? What are you thinking? But again, when you have all kinds of money and you want to make a good show, what do? You go build something that people can see. And I think that's what's happening. So I would say, Mr. Trump, if you can do anything, do something else. Find out what the problems are of the VA and staff the VA first before you start going and building new buildings. Now, there are a lot of veterans out there who I have to point out, just like everybody else. Some people love Donald Trump. Some people hate Donald Trump. And some people are just kind of like in the middle, like I don't know yet. And that's where veterans are too. But I know that Trump went so far as to release an email address and a veteran hotline because he says, he wants to know about the stories of the veterans because he cares. Now, I don't know. People are saying about Donald Trump, he's not a politician, and he's just telling it like it is. I don't know if the guy's lying or not. I don't know if he's doing it just to help his candidacy for president. I don't know. I think the actions, words are great, but what are the actions? And a lot of people are saying, well, he can't help us. He has no clout. Well, if he becomes president, does that change? Will he have clout? Can he do things? I think that's important. What I would like to see myself is that Donald Trump, he has a lot of money. What can he do right now that can help veterans? Let's say he doesn't continue on in the presidential campaign, which I can't see him dropping out or anything else. But let's just say he doesn't. What is he going to do then? Is he going to care about veterans then? Or is this just right now through the campaign? Because I really think that a person who is talking the talk needs to walk the walk. And I know there are some veterans that have said about Glenn Beck, well, he doesn't like veterans and he's not helping veterans. That's not true. He has a Mercury One account set up especially to help veterans. And he's given millions through his organization, his nonprofit organizations, to wounded veterans. So, here's a person at least who is putting their money where their mouth is. Why doesn't Donald Trump start a nonprofit organization to help veterans? I would like to see that. I really would. And then maybe somebody else will, and somebody else will, and somebody else will. That money could be used to get them outside care in medical facilities that run by civilians and not any part of the government, private institutions. Helping those people, and money would go quickly. I get it. I'm not not naive about that, but at least it's a start. And maybe people, collectively, when we work together on things like that, we have a lot of power with our money because we can raise a lot of money for the right type of concern, the right type of issue. And I think this is a great issue. So I would like to see him go further and do that. And then, we have Ted Cruz, who's basically been at a town hall meeting, and he's discussed veterans. And I'd also like to see Ted Cruz do the same thing. Go ahead, set something up, and let's see what you really can do to help veterans. Let's stop talking about it, and let's start doing something about it. Trump also said that illegal immigrants are treated far better than our own veteran American citizens. He said illegal immigrants in many cases, not in all cases, but in many cases, are treated better than our veterans, who are the greatest people we have. I have seen, and I'm aware of, illegal immigrants who have gone to, let's say, the emergency rooms. This is before Obamacare, and were given care free, and through some type of agency or whatever they had with the hospital, some deal that they had. But they were provided services for free. I don't know that the same thing would have happened if a veteran had gone there. I think the first thing they would have said is, let's see your insurance card, or why are you here? Well, you should be over at the VA hospital. I don't know that for sure, but that's my guess. So why aren't veterans treated as well? And I hope that, again, as a veteran, I hope you go to either Spreaker.com and look up Stand for Truth Radio and hear my interview with attorney Benjamin Krause the other day. It will provide you with a wealth of information. But let me tell you something. If you go there and you listen to it, you need to share it with people. Share it with veterans, other veterans, and civilians who don't understand what's going on. They don't understand what you face. But if you don't share the information, if you just, click like, or you just don't do anything, you're not getting the information out. You're not helping yourself at all. Also, you could go to theblaze.com/contributions, look for my article on Donald Trump and the veterans, and share that article with everyone. You don't have to like Donald Trump. The article is not about Donald Trump, really. It's basically information getting out there about, hey, it's a question. Is he a champion of veterans or not? It's a way to get people thinking. And inside that article, I have included my interview with attorney Benjamin Krause. So share that with everybody. If you share it, it's going to be heard, and people are going to start waking up. But if you never tell anyone, no one's going to know. And I know I keep saying that over and over to you, but it's so true. And I posted that on Facebook, and I just had people commenting about Donald Trump or liking the page or saying, gosh, I don't even like Donald Trump. Well, I don't care. I don't care if you like Donald Trump. That is not the point of the article. The point of the article is to get information out there about veterans that the public needs to know. So do yourself a favor. Help yourself. Either share that article on the Blaze /contributions, or go to Spreaker.com or Spreaker app on your phone, look up Stand for Truth Radio, and share that interview with attorney Benjamin Krause. The more people that know, the more that can be done. Now, switching to another subject, the Iran deal. I don't know about you guys, but I know, again, sometimes I'm preaching to the choir. I know that you know that that's a bad deal. I don't know how anyone at this point could think that Iran is going to follow any deal that they have. I saw For the Record that Glenn Beck has as a documentary, and they did a documentary last night on the Iran deal, and they had a guest on there who's been a guest on my show. Her name is Manda Irvin, and she is an Iranian who left Iran somewhere around late 70s, I believe, because she was being targeted. You know why? Because she's smart. She spoke out about and against the Iranian government. And she really makes a great point. She wants everybody to know that the Iranian government that's different. It's separate from the Iranian people. The Iranian people don't necessarily agree with the government and what the government is doing. But they make it look like, they're all united as one and happy about it. Just like we're not happy necessarily with what Obama's doing, but we're United States citizens. But don't lump us all together into the same, yes, we love the government and the work they're doing with this administration. But anyway, she knows, and she's speaking out about it still. She knows that the government in Iran is not to be trusted. She knows that the government in Iran is not going to follow through with this deal. And I've had not a lot of people, but several people, and even experts say to me, why do you think this is so bad? Because Iran is not going to come after the United States because they're smarter than that. Well, here's the way I see it. Iran will be given $150 billion. I think they probably already have it. And they're going to be able, let's say they can't build their own nuclear weapons, which they're going to do. It's like Manda said in the documentary. They're going to build them wherever they can hide them. They'll just go ahead and proceed with doing that. But let's just say they're not going to do that. What's to prevent them from going to let's say, Russia, and saying, hey, you know what? We need about, 4 to 5, nuclear weapons of this caliber, this type. And here's your money. What's going to prevent Russia from building those nuclear weapons for them, or some other country? Let's not pinpoint Russia, but whomever. What's going to prevent that? You're given the money, you're going to do the job. So don't tell me that Iran is smarter than attack the United States. No, I don't think so. Because I think when you're a person of that belief system, you'll do whatever it takes regardless of whether you can win or not. You'll just keep on coming and keep doing it and doing it. And this deal basically allows for their own inspectors, their people, to inspect their nuclear weapons. What? I mean, come on. Everybody knows, except maybe Kerry and Obama, and I think they know. But everybody knows. That would be like saying, okay, we're going to allow the criminals to prosecute their own cases. Yeah, that's going to work out really well. Just like this case is, in Iran, that's going to work out really well too. And another thing about this deal is that it calls for us to protect Iran against Israel. So you're going to tell me that if Israel attacks Iran because they fear that Iran may try to destroy and wipe Israel off the face of the earth, that we're going to go over and fight Israel to protect Iran? Do I have that right? If that's in the agreement, and if I have that right, that's, oh my gosh. Other than turning our backs on God's people, that can't bode well for us right there. I mean, that's enough said right there. But in addition, we're going to go fight, potentially, Israel, our friend, our ally, or used to be, anyway. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. This treaty is going to lead to one thing: nuclear weapons secured by Iran. And we're talking about people who believe in the Quran, Islam. And, I've had guests on my show that have talked to us about Islam. They have one goal, and that is to have you convert or die. And they'll go about it any way that they have to. ISIS will, Iran will, other countries will. They'll do whatever is necessary to make that happen. And Iran is under one of those rules that basically if we create enough chaos, our Mahdi can come back. Their Messiah will come back. So what's to prevent creating all kinds of chaos all over the place? They've said that. I mean, when are we going to start believing what people tell us they intend to do? Again, going back to the black activists who said, hey, it's a war on white people and cops, essentially. When are we going to start believing that they mean what they say? When people tell you they're going to do you harm, it's not something that you take lightly. Once we were in a position where somebody said that, we would go over and put an end to it, or we wouldn't worry about it because we knew we were protected. We're not in that place anymore. We absolutely are not. We have gotten, to a place where our government goes around, our president goes around on an apology tour to every country and apologizes for who we are and what we do. Economically, we're trillions in debt. And we're teetering economically. I mean, have you looked at the stock market? And if you want to believe that everything's getting better, you can do that. I have seen no evidence of it. I really haven't. And I think that we just go further and further downhill. I mean, we have a Republican-run majority rule, Senate and House, and we can't get one simple thing passed. We can't get this Iran deal stopped. Obama currently has enough people to vote where we're screwed. You got this whether you want it or not. And we have this GOP machine, Mitch McConnell I'm talking about now. Oh, we can't. This is not the right time to defund Planned Parenthood. No. We just can't possibly get enough votes, so we're just not even going to do that. Again, we're looking at evil staring us in the face. You're watching these videos, evil staring us in the face. And we have knowledge. You can't say that you don't know. You can't say that, oh my gosh, I didn't realize it was so bad. We all know that it is that bad right now. And we have Mitch McConnell, who is saying we're not going to do anything about it. And essentially what happened was he lied. Because when they were trying to take that vote before, he was like, oh, well, you know what, we'll just table it, and then we'll bring that back up again when we're back in session. I mean, I don't know about you. I knew that was a lie when he said it. And I guess they really think that we're just absolutely stupid. And you know what? We're not stupid, but we don't do anything either. I mean, I don't know. And I'm not criticizing everybody and judging everybody. I don't know what to do sometimes either. I'm not doing anything either when it comes to, how do you stand up and tell Congress, do your job? And we've done that. So what else can we do? I don't know. I know we can pray. And people think, well, that's, what good is that going to do? Well, you know what? Sometimes prayer is the only thing that you have. When you've gotten so far off track that nothing else is going to work but prayer. I mean, I don't know about you, but I think we're living in a day and time right now that I have never seen, I don't recognize, and where it's going to go. If people think that, oh, this is just all going to go quietly away and this too will pass and no problem, it'll just, in a little while, it'll just move on by. It's not going to. And if you're Christian, you know exactly what I mean. Read Revelation. Read End Times Prophecy. And I'm sorry if you don't believe in that, but if you're a Christian, you do, and you have to know that what we're seeing has been prophesied, and it's coming true right before our eyes. And there are people who absolutely refuse to see what's going on. They can't see it. They can't hear it. They think everything is okay. Well, you and I know that everything's not okay. So when our eyes are open, we have to do something about it. We have to stand up. We have to pray. We have to call and write our Congress people. We have to go and protest at rallies for Planned Parenthood. We have to do whatever we can. And, it's like I've said before, it's not so much about what you're doing, but it's about who you're doing it for. You have to be among the counted. In the end, you have to be among the counting. This is about God. This isn't about this earth. It's about God. So you have to stand up and do what's right, what you know is biblically correct. You have to do that. And you're not going to be liked for it. And that's okay, because you're not doing it for this world. In other news, what I found kind of interesting today is that Target is reportedly planning to introduce alcohol service. I guess it's going to give a whole new meaning to that one-stop shopping. This is the same department store that basically is labeling children's products. Now we can't separate, boys and girls anymore. We have to kind of just, everything's got to be lumped in together. And now we're going to sell alcohol. In this great family store is going to potentially start selling alcohol. Again, a sign of our times. Another indication. And people may look at that and go, what? Come on, they're just selling alcohol. A lot of you will sell alcohol. Yeah. First they take a step to say, well, we can't have, we got to have neutral gender clothing, basically. And then they go into alcohol. I mean, to me, does that sound like a family atmosphere to you? Do we even have a family anymore? Do we even care about the family anymore? Do we even care about children's lives anymore? and I'm exaggerating a little bit there, but, with Planned Parenthood and everything else, nobody seems to be too concerned. I mean, another video comes out. Oh, okay, another video came out. That's great. We're kind of starting to, move on a little bit. The videos are getting kind of, gosh, been there, done that, seen that. Okay, well, am I supposed to be upset about it? Yes. Yes, the answer is yes. You're supposed to be upset about it. You're supposed to be upset when you see dead babies' body parts. You're supposed to be upset. Yes. And are you supposed to move on? No. Are you supposed to look at ISIS burning people in the little, the swing set area? They chain them up and then they set them on fire. You're supposed to be just willing to walk on past that? No. Are you supposed to watch those videos? You know what? Those videos are extremely hard to watch. But what are you going to do? Just go on as if nothing is happening? Is that what we've come down to? We'll just go, oh, you know what? Let's go to Target. Let's get some booze. Let's go do that today. We'll have a little family outing. We'll all go there and buy alcohol. We can't continue to not look at these things. We can't continue to just go about our lives as if nothing is happening. We can't do that. It is destroying our society. It's destroying our country. These aren't the people that we know that we are. And unfortunately, a lot of the millennials and younger, we have taught those people in that age group socialism. Absolutely, we've taught them socialism. It doesn't mean everybody's a socialist in that age group, but our public schools have taught socialism, and they're continuing to. And they're continuing to take the brains away, our thought processes from our young people. Really, that's what they're doing. And they're doing it right under your noses, parents. They really are. They're teaching your children things that you, in a million years, wouldn't want your children to know, wouldn't want them to learn, and wouldn't want them to think. They're doing it, and they're doing it freely without interruption. And thank God that we do have parents that have stood up and said, in some states, no on Common Core. We're not going to do that here. You're not going to take my child's brain and teach them whatever you want. We're not going to do that here. A perfect example of that is with the story about the transgender, was a boy, now a girl, who wants to use the girls' bathroom at school, and the girls and everybody at school said, no, we're not going to use the bathroom with you. If you want to go to a bathroom, you'll have to go to another bathroom. And people, you'd think, you just don't know what you're going to hear from people, but people are outraged on Twitter because they're so sorry for this transgender girl and saying, gosh, we're so sorry that people are treating you that way. They shouldn't do that, whatever. And they have no sympathy whatsoever for the girls who don't want to use the bathroom with someone that they perceive as a male and they perhaps feel threatened by. We've come down to it where we have to conform to everyone else's way of thinking that's in the minority. So the majority is giving up their rights for the minority. That's really what it's come down to. And you either conform or you're called a racist, a bigot, a homophobe, whatever the case may be. But it doesn't go the other way around. Nobody looks and considers, well, gosh, maybe that makes somebody uncomfortable, so maybe I won't do it if you're, in the minority group. So, our world is basically, it's upside down. And, a lot of people would say, no, that's not upside down. That's the way it ought to be. Well, that's not the way it's been. It's not the way that it seems to work well. And we have serious issues. We can't solve all the issues today, but you know what? Stay strong out there. Do the best that you can. Do the right thing. And know that what you're doing is right. If you can look yourself in the mirror and know that you're doing the right thing, biblically speaking, then you know what? That's all that you need to do. I do hope you go to, again, Spreaker.com, look at all the podcasts from Stand for Truth Radio, Share them with your friends. Please like the page on Spreaker, and that way when new podcasts come out, you will get them. I thank you for joining me today. Please stay safe. Please thank a police officer for protecting you, and also those in the military. And until next week, and until next time that we meet, stay safe. God bless you. We'll talk soon.